All right. What's up? Welcome in to the Auburn Live Call-In Show. We are live. And as you can see, we're missing Jeffrey Lee tonight. We're missing Alan Head. Live Call-In Show. We are live. Oh, hold on. Got to mute my YouTube. Okay. So, yeah, we are live, guys. Again, no Jeffrey Lee, no Alan Head. It's just me and Zach in the back tonight. And we're going to look, we might be lacking a little bit of personality here, but the analysis is going to be on point.
That's a
So
fact.
if you got questions, and we know you do, and it's been a little bit of a slow week, Zach. Not a whole lot going on. I mean, since we've been on now, we had a commitment from Keandre Lambert-Smith, wide receiver transfer from Penn State. So that happened. We can talk about that. We can talk about football, recruiting, whatever you guys want to talk about. I have a question for the week. I proposed it to Jeffrey, to Alan, and to you in our group text. And it's I was having a discussion with my family last night about this, and it went pretty deep. So, what we're going to ask that who is an actor, actress that you, whenever they're going to be in a movie, you're in. Like, you're drawn to this actor or actress for whatever reason. When you see they're going to be in a movie, you're like, "Oh yeah, I got to see that." So who I'm curious, Zach, who
Yeah.
do you like?
An actor, I would say probably like a Morgan Freeman, like
So
for sure.
if he's in a movie, you're like, "Oh yeah, I got to
Yeah,
see that."
for
Okay.
the most part. And then same for like Leonardo DiCaprio,
Sure.
especially if it's you know, it has to be a certain genre.
Yeah.
I think for him, like anything I see that's sort of up that, I guess, not just even like Wolf of Wall Street or something like that, but just
Oh yeah.
like an
That's
old
that's
timey
good.
movie, I'm all for it.
Sure. I lean towards comedy a little bit. I love Jim Carrey. If he's going to be in something, I'm going to be all over that. Steve Carell is a big one for me, and he does kind of some serious roles. I'm in for that too. Whatever, I like it. I see people in the comments already taking one of my other favorites, and Denzel Washington. No doubt about it. If Denzel's going to be in a movie, I will watch it 100%. Matt Damon
I'm
too.
I could see that one. Yeah, Denzel's up there for me. Um, I definitely could see that. Keanu Reeves isn't bad. Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood, it's hit or miss for me on him. There's a few good movies from him, but uh, not a. I won't have to see the movie for him. But we got a
right.
caller already, man. They've been waiting for like 15 minutes. It feels like. So let's
Yeah,
kick the
man.
show off with them.
Bring it in.
9911. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Wow.
Kevin from Wimmer, Alabama.
What's up,
Kevin,
Kevin?
you got a different number tonight, man. What's up?
I got a couple of questions for you. Uh, for you.
All right. You can call me Jeffrey if you want to, if it makes you feel better.
Yep.
Bring it in, Kevin. What you got tonight?
Uh, I still think Alvin Henderson will sign with Auburn.
Okay. You like Alvin? You like Alvin coming back to the Tigers, flipping from Penn
Yeah.
State? All right. What else you got, Kevin?
And also the wide receiver we got.
Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yep.
Absolutely. What do you think about him, Kevin?
And I still think Cam Coleman will have 28 touchdowns.
Hey, Kevin, what do you think about Keandre Lambert-Smith, man?
I think he will get. I like that wide receiver.
There you go. That adds another big one, man, because Kevin's already been excited about this wide receiver class and the guys that they got coming in. Perry Thompson and Malcolm
How
Simmons
about
that are
Bryce
coming in.
Kane?
Bryce Kane, Cam Coleman. You add this guy to the mix. I don't know, Zach. What do you think, man? I mean, what do you think
Perry
the
Thompson.
What do you think the ceiling is for this wide receiver class?
I think this is one of the deeper wide receiver rooms we've had in a long time. I think especially adding I don't think the potential was lacking with the wide receiver room, but the experience and proven potential definitely was before you added Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think adding him to the room elevates the floor of the room. We talked about that last year with the quarterback room. I don't know how high it raises the ceiling per se, but the floor is definitely much higher than it was going into this season than it was last season. I think when you look at Cam, you look at Robert Lewis, you look at Keandre Lambert-Smith, potentially one of these other freshmen, whether it's a Bryce Kane, a Perry Thompson, a Malcolm Simmons, making a year one impact, or even someone that was in the room, a Camden Brown, someone like that, taking their game to the next level. Auburn's wide receiving room easily, in my opinion, could be firmly in the top half of the SEC.
Do you think it's in the top half of the team as far as position rooms in the top 5?
In terms
As
of
a group?
potential, yes. I'm just trying to think, man, because I would still put it behind offensive line
Definitely.
right now. Ooh, secondary, I would still put it above it, even though we have some new faces back there. I think the potential of the secondary is there, especially safety. I think
Sure.
safety, there's a lot of talent in that room. But yeah, I think it's there in the top 4, possibly, maybe 3. It's in the conversation for sure, but I would put it behind secondary and offensive line and then running back. So I'll put it at 4 right now.
Okay. I wouldn't argue with that. Tell you what is interesting, since Kevin, wants to talk about the receivers again, which there's a lot to talk about there. The interesting thing to me right now is Jay Fair and Javarius Johnson. So these are two guys. Number one, I don't think any Auburn fan would argue that Auburn did not upgrade over those two. And that's not a shot at either Javarius Johnson or Jay Fair. They did good things at Auburn. Both of them did. I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, you're looking at receivers that are going to transfer in. You look at Jay Fair's numbers from a year ago, you put that on a transfer receiver, you're not going to be crazy happy, but you're going to go, oh, well, he was productive. He wasn't not productive. I mean, he was productive at Auburn. Now he's going to USC. That's a pretty telling jump. I mean, usually the past 3 or 4 years, and you can look at the draft too and what Auburn just did in the draft. Nothing crazy, nothing too impressive. You got 5 guys drafted, so that's good, but no high round guys. But if you look at the last 3, maybe 3 or 4 years in the transfer portal, guys who have left Auburn, besides Bo Nix, aren't going to huge programs. They're not going to USC's. They're not going to some of these teams. That's starting to happen now. It's starting to happen now. And you're not losing anybody that you feel like you couldn't lose. That's all good things. That's all things that point to the roster being better and being in a better place than it was.
What are your expectations for Lambert-Smith this year? We talked about expectations on the show for Cam Coleman. We talked about it for Perry Thompson. We talked about it for Fairweather. What stats at the end of the year do you want Lambert-Smith to have for you to say it was a good addition from the portal?
Yeah, I go back to I think it was Edward who called in and said this about Cam Coleman getting 8 to 10 targets a game. It's more about the targets for me. Are you drawing up plays to get him involved? Are you trying to get him, push it down the field with him, get him the back shoulders, the single matchups? I want to see that happen about 8 to 10 times. I think you can realistically, with Keandre Lambert-Smith and Cam Coleman, be somewhere in the 7 to 10 range of targets in every game. Especially, look, if they're wanting to get the passing game going, they're going to have to do that. Those are your 2 guys now. Now you got Robert Lewis, you got Sam Jackson. Robert Lewis looks pretty reliable to me. You got to get it to him as well. He's going to be there. Camden Brown, what might he do? Perry Thompson. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here. There really are. But I think 7 to 10 targets. If you get that, the dude, based on his catch ratio to being targeted, he was getting open a lot at Penn State.
Yeah.
And he didn't drop the ball. So I think 7 to 10 targets is going to get you above what you had last year at Penn State consistently if you do that every game, stats wise.
We just had someone call in, but I want to ask you, week 1, with the addition of Keandre Lambert-Smith, what is a 2 deep in your opinion? Auburn rolls out there. Who's going out on the field first, and who are those like 1A? Because we know Hugh Freeze, he likes to rotate guys a lot, especially at wide receiver. So in your opinion, who do you think the 2 deep is right now going into week 1?
I would say Lambert-Smith and Cam Coleman are your outside guys.
Agreed.
Your inside guys are going to be Robert Lewis and is it going to be Sam Jackson? I think, with the way they do it now, it's probably going to be Rivaldo Fairweather more times than not. Even though he's a tight end, he's going to be in that slot a lot or moving around in the H position, motion, making doubles, turning it into trips, all these kind of things, motion into the backfield. So I think he's going to be in there a good bit. And then, your other slot guy is going to be Sam Jackson. I think Caleb Burton's there right now. He was out a little bit in the spring, so not sure what's going on with him exactly. We'll see. That's the first group, though. I expect Fairweather to be out there, split out. They got to utilize the tight end room. So putting Fairweather out there allows you to bring another tight end in the game, depending on your personnel. I think they're going to do that. That's the first
I like
group.
it. Let's go to the callers. We got Anthony from Montgomery here. Anthony, man, you're live.
Fellows, Anthony from Montgomery.
What's up, Anthony?
How y'all doing tonight?
Good,
doing
man.
Doing great. Just trying to keep it going here, trying to keep the personality alive without Jeffrey here. It's kind of hard to do.
I feel it. Hey, on the 2 deep thing, now that Colton Hood left and he was pretty much penciled in to be that third guy off the bench, who, without a transfer coming in, who would be that next guy up in the cornerback room behind Keontae and what's the kid name? He escaped me right now. Number 3. Well, I think he changed the number to 4. Kane Lee. Who would be that third guy off the bench? And also, who would be the backup nickel? So pretty much, I'm looking for a 2 deep in the secondary. If y'all can tell me.
Okay.
That's all I got now.
Appreciate you, Anthony.
Hey, is Anthony still with us?
Hey,
Hey,
Anthony, still there, man?
I can hear you. Say it again.
Go ahead,
Hey,
Cole.
give us, man, who is an actor, actress when they are going to be in a movie? You're like, yes, I am in. Who you got?
Denzel,
Always.
Mark Wahlberg, and
Oh,
favorite of all time is Nicolas Cage.
wow.
That's my guy.
You know what?
I like you, Anthony.
Con Air is my favorite movie of all time.
Hey, listen, if you still like channel surf, which there's not many people that do, or you still have YouTube TV with all the channels and all this stuff, Con Air's going to be on one of them channels. You're going to find it.
Oh yeah, look, and I watch it every time, man. Top 3 favorite movies.
It's a good one. That and Forrest Gump.
I ain't never seen it before.
Nicolas Cage, maybe not the best actor, but his movies are good. Really good. Always. Those are good picks. All right, so Anthony wants to know, we think that the 2 corners are solidified with Keontae Scott and Kayan Lee.
Yep.
That sounds right to me. We know they brought in Antonio Kite. Colton Hood was looking like he was going to be that third guy to me. Watching him in spring, I was like, yeah, he looks, the way they're rotating him, at least, he looked like he was going to be the third guy over Antonio Kite, at least for spring. Look, so much changes after spring. Yeah. I think your third guy right now is probably Antonio Kite. I think that's fair, especially going into fall camp. He's going to be the third guy eventually if he's not right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he looked good. From what I saw in the spring game, I thought he looked good. Everything you guys were reporting from practices, he looked good. Someone in the chat said J.C. Hart potentially.
I think J.C. Hart is the guy they're going to have right there on the cusp of playing, and he's going to rotate, get some snaps every once in a while. I don't know if he's ready just to be thrown into the fire yet. Now, they may do that. They may not have a choice, but I actually think they're going to go get somebody in the portal at corner. Wouldn't shock me at all if they did that. Wouldn't shock me if they got a safety either. I could see that happening because your safeties are young right now, very inexperienced. Besides Jaron Thompson, we know he's going to start. It's interesting to me that Laquan Robinson wasn't talked about more as a potential starter. I expected him to just be filled into that next spot, and I don't know if he is. So go get like if a really experienced – I put the name Wesley Walker into one of the volumes of, guys that would make sense for Auburn to pursue. Wesley Walker's played a lot of football. That's the guy's at Louisville, but he was at Tennessee. So he had like 53 tackles, bunch of pass breakups as a safety at Tennessee, transfers to Louisville. Now he's back in the portal. That's the kind of guy. I don't know if it's him, but that's the kind of guy they need to go for, in my opinion. We'll see. But so the third corner, I would say Antonio Kite. For your other question, Anthony, backup nickel.
Yep.
Well, I think the starter's Champ Anthony. I think that's your guy. I love Champ Anthony too. I think he's a baller.
He was talked about a lot throughout spring practice. There was a lot of chatter about Champ Anthony.
He's one of those guys that probably doesn't. I mean, he probably doesn't move the needle when it comes to like NFL draft as much. Not a huge guy, but he is in the mold of these guys that have been awesome at Auburn for whatever reason. Just, a little bit under the radar, kind of small, but fiery competitor. He's going to knock you out if he gets a chance to hit you. He breaks on the ball really well. That kind of guy's always done well at Auburn for whatever reason. And I see him being that guy. So his backup, I don't know. Is it Tyler Scott? It was just a rotation there. Caleb Wooden, I think, probably going to play there some, but he played safety too, so he's going back and forth. Caleb Wooden's in there right now because they trust him. He knows what he's doing. If nothing else, and I know, everybody goes back to him returning that fumble, and you're like, man, he's just not fast enough to play. That may be true, but he knows where to be on the field. He's proven that several times. There's something to be said for a guy like that. Probably not going to start, but he comes in, helps you out when you need substitution, need to spell somebody. I don't know. Who do you think, Zach, might be that backup nickel? There seems like a rotation there.
Yeah, I think it could be what I think they're going to do is over the first few games leading up into the SEC opener, you have an ability to rotate some bodies in there. And I think they're going to be looking for someone because I don't think there's a favorite right now. Now I know a lot of people in the chat want Keontae to move back to nickel and then make Champ Anthony the rotational piece behind them. But we've talked about that on the show multiple times. They're going to give Keontae a shot at corner.
Yeah.
Before anything. Now, if it doesn't work out, he can always move back to nickel, but I don't think that's where they're going to put him early. I'm with you. I think they're going to rotate. I mean, if Tyler Scott develops himself into a guy who could be a strong number 2 in that spot, you got to feel good if you're Auburn, right? A young guy like that, earning his stripes, getting a lot of snaps. And I'm with you. I think I'm a little bit talk about shifting over to the safety room. I'm with you because we talked probably 2 months ago. And I think me, you, Jay Lee, and Allen all had Laquan Robinson written in pen in the starting safe in that starting spot. And he just never seemed to claim it during spring practice. I don't know. You were at the practices. What didn't seem to be clicking with him, in your opinion?
I really didn't notice anything. The main thing I noticed with him was that he was not heavily in the rotation with some of the guys that I felt were probably ones. And I'd say Hugh Freeze does a really good job of not calling anybody ones ever in the spring, which is smart. I don't think you should do that. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I don't care if you've got a 4-year starter coming back. Don't call him a one. He's not. He's got to earn it. That's how it should be. But from what I could tell with Laquan Robinson, there wasn't – I felt like he may have been still learning things a little more than I thought he would at this point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I got to ask you before we move on. You said there might bring in another defensive back. Is there any other names to watch other than the one you mentioned? Because hey, listen, I don't think people realize that guy was. I want to say he was probably a top 5 highest graded defensive players for Tennessee that last year he started there.
Really?
His PFF grade was like through the roof.
As far as I know, he's still in the portal. He was just somebody that made sense to me. Looking at it, his experience, I think, that's the thing. If you're going through the transfer portal wire on On3, which you should, by the way, because it's really awesome. It's updated every single time someone hits the portal, and they're in order of how they hit the portal. So I go through that all the time looking for names. I'm like, okay, who fits this? Who fits the mold of what Auburn's looking for? And that's what I do with the volumes of, these guys make sense because they fit a mold that I think Auburn is actually honed in on. And experienced safety. I don't think they'd take just any safety, and they may not take one. But if a really experienced guy goes in the portal or is in the portal, they might go for him. I don't really have any names there, but I tell you what, the South Alabama linebacker,
He's
who
a
we need
stud.
to talk about for sure. Yes, he is. His reaction time, he's very quick, very fast to be a linebacker. And he dropped into coverage a lot for South Alabama for Kane Womack, who is now the defensive coordinator at Alabama. He was in his defense last year. And I know that probably gives people pause with Auburn recruiting him. Now, Jeffrey reported, I guess it was Saturday, that Khalil Jacobs is his name. He's a linebacker / safety hybrid from South Alabama. He is going to be visiting Auburn on Tuesday, official visit. Tuesday to Wednesday, I believe. And then Thursday he's going to be at Missouri. And then the weekend he's going to be at Alabama. And then I would say he's probably going to have a decision pretty soon after. Those seem to be the 3 schools. Alabama makes a lot of sense. Kane Womack is there. That was his head coach at South Alabama. Now he's the defensive coordinator at Alabama. But got some intel on this one, guys. I'm telling you, Auburn's probably in this one more than you might think. Got that from a pretty good source. So we'll see. That visit's going to be huge. Tuesday to Wednesday, that's going to be a huge visit. We think Auburn's definitely in this, and it's not a done deal to Alabama. Doesn't mean he won't go to Alabama, but not a done deal to Alabama yet. Let's see what happens on this Auburn visit on Tuesday. Definitely keep up with us. We'll be there to try to catch him as he's leaving, and we're going to see how it goes. But on the safety thing, he's a hybrid, and he's a guy that's played a lot of football. He's fast, he's reactive, but he can also play in the box. I think from talking to Eric Winters, and y'all know Eric Winters, 4-star safety from Enterprise, Alabama, one of the biggest recruits on the board for Auburn. He keeps telling me he's going to play the star at Auburn. I'm the star. That's what they say. I'm going to be the star. Safety, linebacker, hybrid. Used to be called Sam in a lot of defenses. This is what Khalil Jacobs would be. I don't know if Auburn's going to implement that until they get the right guy for that position. I think Caleb Harris is that guy. Still young, though. Get an experienced guy like Khalil Jacobs. That's probably your star. Safety, linebacker, hybrid. I think they're looking for that. They want that pretty badly on this roster. I think that's a DJ Durkin thing.
Like it. We'll get back to the calls. We got a bunch of callers now. 2178. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
We need you tonight, Edward.
Yeah, man. I was watching and I said, well, man, let me call tonight. I'll be working that night shift, so sometimes Sunday I be sleep around in time when I have to be up tonight, man. How y'all guys doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. I was got a little sun on my face, man. I was fishing today. Had to wrap it up and come do the show.
You catch anything?
Oh yeah, man. We I didn't catch much, but the guy I was with, he wore me out. So
I've been living on the river when I ain't at work for the last 2 weeks.
Hear you.
Yeah, but man, it's hard not to be excited about what's going on the plains, and you know, I like the moves. I was telling my guy, Tiger Eye, and this was my opinion before the portal started, and we was talking because we talk every day. I was mad. My belief was I think that Auburn would pretty much get everybody in the portal that they really wanted. I told him, I said, I think all the guys that Hugh really want, he will get this cycle out the portal for that reason that there's not many guys that he really wanted. So it's not like he got to fill a whole roster, almost every position out the portal. There's only select guys that he wanted. And I think for the most part, he got the guys out the portal that he really wanted. And I look at this thing like cooking, man. When we cook, all of us pretty much got all the same ingredients in our cabinet. It's all about cooking as a science. Like putting a football team together. It's all about putting everything together, putting everything in at the right time. And, you know, before I was an 8-win this season regardless. Because I got 8 games at Jordan Hare. I should win at least 7 of those games in the half. With these additions, I think it does more than just what meets the eye, especially those on the defensive line. You got to back up to Jalen McLeod at the edge. You can let your young guys develop instead of add them in the mix. Okay, I upgraded my wide receiver room by a mile. I got one of the talented running back room in the SEC. I got a 4th-year starting quarterback, major college football. I got a solid defensive line now. I got solid linebackers. Got a solid secondary. That's a recipe for a damn good football team. And so where a lot of people looking at 2025, I'm a reverse course. Auburn's best chance to make a run or something maybe this year. They best chance to upset somebody maybe this year. I got a quarterback that played in some big games. He played in all the biggest venues in college football. You know, and that depth to that defensive line, it does this. Now it allows you to run his tempo, what he couldn't do last year. And I think running tempo alone versus what we did last year is good for another at least 10 points, in my opinion. If we can average anywhere to the 28 to 30 points a game range, I don't have to average 40. If I can get 27, 28, 30 points a game with DJ Durkin defense, I got a shot to beat every ass on my schedule. That's including going to Athens. That's including going to Tuscaloosa. Because I believe Durkin is just that good of a defensive mind to where he got some hell of a pieces to play with, man. I really look for this Auburn defense to surprise a lot of people, man.
I don't disagree with you, Edward. I don't disagree with you. And I think you make some good points. You know, especially with the transfer portal. I think it's interesting. College football transfer portal is almost like the draft now. It's not quite the same because the kids have their choice on where they want to go. But now that I know that the fans and everybody is not, you know, just right behind Peyton Thorne and going, that's the guy, 100%, whatever. I got you. And you have reason to doubt him 100%. But Hugh Freeze in his position shouldn't. He decided early on, we're going to roll with him. Yes, they went after quarterbacks 100%, but they didn't do anything crazy. They said, we got a good one here. If we can't land one by not having to break the bank, we're going to stay with Peyton Thorne. And that's exactly what they did. Then they turned to this portal window. You know, everybody tampers. So they had a month and a half to do whatever they got to do to get the right guys in the portal. They got Keandre Lambert-Smith, Kieron Crawford, Isaiah Rakes, Philip Bleedy, and a couple more I think are coming. I don't know who yet. Just think there's probably a couple more additions to be had. They said, look, we're going to build around Peyton Thorne. And that's what a lot of people wanted the Atlanta Falcons to do, right? You got a quarterback. Why did you get another one? It's a little bit of a different situation. I get you on that. But the point is, when they decided to lock in on Peyton Thorne, that really helped them in the portal on this window. Is that kind of what you're saying, Edward?
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point to where, I think Hugh, like you say, he really wanted to run this RPO style offense. And so, like you say, Peyton does that pretty well. He really does. It's some of the drop back things at times to what get Peyton in a little trouble. But as far as the RPO game, he runs it. He makes all the right decisions for the most part. Yep. So, going in the portal, going heavy on a quarterback, going all in, does he come in and still beat out Peyton? I think there's a comfort level between Hugh and Peyton. And like you say, the pieces, to me, it's more about the pieces around Peyton. You know what I mean? Than it is necessary Peyton. At times, he didn't look good last year, but, there was a lot of stuff going on with the offense as far as, it was no cohesion between Montgomery and Hugh. It was no cohesion. That trickled down to your team. You didn't have your big play wide receivers. I think Lambert-Smith and Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and, a Caleb Burden. Then you got Fairweather working across the middle. I mean, that's a dream scenario for a quarterback. You got some guys to where you don't have to be right all the time. Like you were with Keon Coleman. You got guys that I can just put the ball in his vicinity, and I trust them to go make plays. When you add those type of guys, especially in the RPO, where you're looking for that one-on-one, and you basically dropping back, hey, my guy better than your guy, and I'm throwing it up, letting him make a play. I think you got the perfect receivers for that. So you lean on Jaquez, Damari, Cobb. Those guys don't get talked about enough. We don't even really mention the backfield. All we talking about is wide receivers and quarterback. But when you look at it behind this offensive line, which I think would be pretty stout, we're going to be able to run the ball. We want to run the ball too.
Yeah.
But there's one thing about this whole shotgun formation stuff. I'm old school, man. I'm old school lineup, split back formation, under center, I formation, man. I got a 240-pound back in Sean Jackson sitting on the sideline. 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and goal. Man, I'm using every thing that's available to me on my roster, man. Go up under center, run the football with your 240-pound running back, man. I hate to see teams line up 5-6 yards away from the ball and you only need 1 yard. It'll take a rocket scientist to explain me why the team do that and try to run the ball when you're snapping the ball 5-6 yards back you got to get the 5-6 yards back that you snap the ball plus the 1 yard that you need. Man, you got a sledgehammer. If nothing else, line them up in front of Jaquez. Let him open up a hole. Pull back the eye, man. You got stuff to work with. Yeah. I'm tired of getting stuffed on 4th and 1, 4th and goal, 3rd and 1. Man, get that yard. You got the pieces to do it with.
I agree. I love it, Edward. Always, always, always good points, in my opinion, from you. You always open up talking points too, man. Things that just hit me that I'm like, I just didn't think about that. I love it.
Appreciate you,
All
Edward.
right, man. Tell Jay Lee, try to be at work next Sunday. Him and A-Head. Try to be there. I put my application in and have one in the spot. Boy, come on to work.
Edward,
all right, man. I'm just messing with you. Y'all guys have a good night, man.
You too, man.
All right.
We'll catch him next time.
Yeah, we got a bunch of callers here.
Right, yeah, let's keep going. Just again, great points, man. I love when Edward brings that stuff. It's awesome. We got great callers. We got great callers.
Yeah, we do. Carter,
let's keep it going.
You're live, man. We got Carter Muldrow on the line.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
What's up, Carter, man? I was just looking at you at the Braves game on your Facebook there.
Oh man.
Yesterday was the big 2-9, and so I'm just getting older, one day at a time. But man, we tore it up at Truist Park. I'm exhausted still.
I hear you, man. What you got for us?
Those Draft Miller Lights, they slap different than they did 8 years ago.
I hear you.
Oh, man, I just wanted to call in, and I wanted to tell y'all if the movie's got George Clooney in it, I'm all ears.
Okay.
So, and I also wanted to ask y'all, do y'all have any updates on O-linemen other than, and you can provide an update on Shoal, I would love to hear that, but on the two big boys, Babalola and Petty, I think that we have got a better shot to snag Petty. I don't know why. I just do. And I think possibly, like I alluded to last week, I think possibly getting Julian Lewis could, like it could with CJ Wiley, I really think that it could help us get Petty. I don't know why, but I do.
Okay. I love it, man. I love talking O-line because I'm thinking that Auburn's going to really finish well in the O-line this year. That's the position they've done. I mean, the start to the O-line class, Spencer Dolan, Ty Buster, TJ Tavares Dice, and one other one. Who am I missing? Oh, Carday Smith. Huge start. Now, this is kind of like with the transfer portal thing we were just talking about. You got those guys in place. There's no reason to reach anymore. Go all out for the three you just named. Brody Shoal, Andrew Babalola, Josh Petty. Here's what I know. As you know, there is an Auburn prediction out there for Brody Shoal right now from Steve Wiltfong. I believe Chad Simmons joined him in that. So make that 2. I wouldn't be far off, Carter, on adding one for Shoal because he's going to finish out his visits. He's going to go to Texas Tech, Nebraska, but boy, does he like Auburn, and his family loved Auburn. His family really loved him.
Oh, Renaissance man.
Yeah. He posted today. He told us he was going to be in that play, Freaky Friday, I think it was. And he apparently killed it. He killed it. So he's he's a different personality, but dude, love talking to him. His family was as nice as they could be. He'd talk to you for hours on an interview if you wanted him to. So love that guy. I think his personality is a great fit with Hugh Freeze and what they do. He's big in faith, so he loved that part of it. His mom loved that part of it when they talked with Hugh Freeze and had a meeting with him and got to see him in action, kind of preaching to the team like he does. They loved it. I mean, look, I wouldn't at all be shocked if Auburn lands that one, and probably, I don't know. I've been wondering who's going to be the big cat commitment this year, because a lot of these guys are getting ready to wrap it up pretty soon, but somebody's going to do it at Big Cat. It happens every year. Is it going to be all 2026 guys this year? Do you have another big splash like you did with Perry Thompson? No pun intended. I think you flipped into a pool or something after. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at Brody Shoal. Maybe that's about the timeline for him, and I think he's going to be there. As far as Babalola and Petty, Auburn's going to get official visits with these guys. Look, we're not even into official visit season yet. That's about to start here in early May and go into June. So we're getting close to when guys are going to be coming off the board. These guys, I don't know most about Babalola, Petty, just that they like. They're going to take official visits. Auburn's in the mix.
Awesome.
Cardi, still there?
Thank y'all so much, and y'all take care and have a good night. Talk to y'all soon.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, man. George Clooney, good pick. He's in one of my all-time favorite movies. Oh, brother, where art thou?
I might have missed it. Did you offer anything on Jacoby Ward?
Oh yeah, Jacoby.
He's going to take an official visit too, right?
Yeah, he is, and tell you what, he could be in the class before he gets to it. He really could. I feel that good about Jacoby Ward. He's a 3-star offensive lineman from Savannah, Georgia, St. Benedictine. 6'3.5", 340-pound guy. That's what you want on your interior.
Yeah.
He's a guard for sure. He's been told by some other schools, LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama. These are the schools recruiting him. I don't care. I've told y'all before, O-line couldn't care less about stars. I just don't. There's positions I absolutely care about stars. Offensive line's not one of them. And he's a 3-star. I think he's higher than that, personally.
People are not good at judging offensive line talent, really and truly, especially if they never played offensive line. There's very few people who are good at analyzing offense, unless you play D-line. D-linemen, I found out, are pretty good at evaluating O-linemen.
Yeah, you definitely want stars there.
Wide receivers, like former wide receivers and stuff like that, they just don't know what they're looking at a lot of the times, is from my experience.
Well, even college coaches, man, they miss it a lot too. Yeah. You just can't predict how a guy's going to grow. If that's why a lot of times you'll see coaches going after a guy that weighs 250 pounds. Brody Scholl, guys, he's the number 19 overall player in the country for on-3, which means if he holds, he's going to be a 5-star with on-3. He probably weighs 265 right now, about 6'5". Doesn't matter. It's the feet. You get a guy in like that. He's got feet. He's got NFL level feet. He will grow. You give it time. That's the kind of guys you have to go after. Now you got to get immediate impact guys too. Auburn's done both. I've been really impressed with what Auburn's done on the offensive line. And I put on the board earlier today that I thought that Tall Miller was Auburn's best offensive lineman. That has nothing to do with Percy Lewis or the fact that I think Dylan Wade would be better at left tackle in this offense, because I thought he was pretty good last year personally. And it has nothing to do with the A-Day game either. I don't base anything good or bad on the A-Day game. You shouldn't. It's just a good reference to see what they're doing, who can step up and make a play at times. If Dylan Wade struggled at left guard, I don't put much into that. He'll be fine. I just liked him at left tackle last year. I feel like I'm in the minority saying that. He was really good, especially in the RPO offense. Perfect. Yeah, maybe that's not his NFL position, but who cares? He's in college right now.
Yeah.
It's different.
The NFL will move him if he's at a better position. They do it all the time to people, especially D linemen and O linemen. You see people who have never, like, if you go watch the Senior Bowl practices, no one's playing in their position that they played in college. Because scouts want to see you play all kind of different positions, including defensive backs. They'll throw people at safety. They'll throw people at boundary corner, slot corner. They want to see you do it all. So I'm with you. I wouldn't put, just because that's not his NFL position, shouldn't limit him. But we got 3 more callers on the line. 1753. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Eric. I go by Fred on the board.
What's up, Eric?
Oh,
what's up,
Fred? Is this the Fred?
What's up,
So this is the Fred.
Yes, the Fred.
Oh wow,
my real name is Eric.
Okay, Eric, EMJ, right?
Hey, how are you? Yes, sir.
All right, well, man, I wasn't expecting to hear from the Fred tonight, but bring it, dude. Let's see what you got.
Hey, I just got like 3 questions for y'all.
All right.
The first one would be, what would y'all say our biggest issue is with producing first through third round draft picks consistently? And the second one, could you see Michael Riley taking snaps away from Luke Deal or Frazier during the season? And the third one is, do you think the defense will have more sacks than we did last year? We had, I want to say, 31 sacks last year.
Okay.
And the actor that I have to watch would be Liam Neeson.
Good pick. That's a good pick.
All right, and hang up and listen.
Eric,
Appreciate you, man.
Did you catch the first question, Zach?
Yeah, he wants to know what the problem is or I guess what the solution is to Auburn producing more first to third round picks, because obviously no one was drafted until day 3 from Auburn, and also I know the board was freaking out this weekend.
Okay. What do you think, Zach, on that one? Solution to have early picks? I mean, Well, I know what my answer would be. I wrote it in an article not too long ago. Leave Hugh Freeze alone.
Yeah.
It's no more simpler than that. He's bringing in top talent. What do you
He's
think?
developing talent at a high level as well. Because, I mean, also, too, people, I get it. Like, for fans, I don't expect them to, but stop helmet scouting as well. Like, the stickers shouldn't drive your evaluation on a player. And I saw that on the board all weekend. It was like, oh, well, this school has a draft pick, that school has a draft pick. And it was like, that has literally nothing to do with anything. And to be fair, I don't think it was as a surprise to you, or it wasn't a surprise to me. Let me say that Auburn didn't have a first or second round pick. Now I thought DJ, potentially Jalen, could slide into late round 3.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were surefire day 2 picks. DJ James weighed in at like 160 pounds. That's tough. That's not great. And then I thought everyone had question marks, and they went in the 4th round, which I don't think was a huge surprise to me. But I don't know how you feel about it, Cole. But I just think you got to get better talent, and then 2, you have to develop them better.
Well, people like to complain about the rankings, and I will give On 3 credit. They hit it pretty good on the first couple rounds, and that's because they are trying to reflect it toward the NFL draft. And people say, oh, it needs to be for college. Well, that's really hard to do now, because what are the chances a guy stays at one school for 4 years? It's really
Almost
low.
0.
It's really low. And fit with the school is factored in. It really is. So it's just a better bet if you're doing rankings to put it as it reflects the NFL, as it reflects the NFL draft. Smarter to me. DJ James is a good point with this question, because his coverage grade was really good with PFF. And, I don't really know how PFF does that, because half the time I can't see him on the field. So,
PFF,
I believe it.
They have access to all 22 film.
There you go.
Yeah.
That would help. I mean,
a lot.
You can watch. I wish we had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be game changer. But, I mean, he's always in coverage. He was in good position all the time. But when he goes to the combine, and this goes with the rankings, the high school rankings, he had some of the shortest arms of all the DBs. And it got him. And there's nothing he can do about that. That's just what he's given, right? He played as well as he could play for a long time for Auburn. He made some mistakes here and there in his last year, but look, he was a good, solid corner for Auburn. Good enough to go in the high round, but then you get to the arm length and those kind of things. Well, I know this. That stuff matters to the staff now. I look at the guys they bring in. They have a look. Even the 3 stars, they have a look. They're not bringing in the guys that don't measure out well anymore, and that's not all it is to it. You got to be able to play too. But they're bringing in guys that have the combination. You got the measurements, and you can play. It all checks. And they don't really go below that. They're not swinging down. They're not going, well, he's going to be too tough to get. We're going to get somebody below him. If we don't get him, we'll go to the portal. But we're going to try to get him, and we're going to have a shot, because that's how it's been going. So that would be my answer to that.
And also, too, being a great college player does not always translate into being a high NFL pick.
No.
People got to get out of that thinking as well. You can be an elite college player and not a good NFL prospect. And you could be an average college player but have the measurables and the intangibles to be a good NFL player. It happens all the time. So I would also tell people just to calm down. Like, these players that were coming out were not Hugh Freeze recruits. They weren't really developed by Hugh Freeze and the staff. Like, just take a breath, wait for 2025, 2026, 2027 NFL draft, and then we can go from there and have like a real conversation about how the staff developed, recruited, and sent guys to the league. But we'll get on to Eric's next 2 questions.
Hey, I want to say this too, Zach. I have a relative. My dad played for Auburn, and a lot of his teammates went to the pros. and he's told me all my life. The guys that went to the pros that he was buddies with said the jump from high school to college was hard. The jump from college to NFL, unreal. It's totally different. Not even close. He said, "You think you're big and bad because you made it in college and then you go to the NFL? Shh. That's why these guys that you think are surefire and don't make it happens way more than the ones that actually do make it." So you're looking for a combination of all those things, and I think that's what Hugh Freeze and his staff do really, really well. The next question was, do you remember? Was it Micah Riley?
Yes.
And he wants to know that
he gets over Luke Deal.
I don't know, man. The tight end room is just, especially if you're wanting to throw the ball more, do you get out of that 12 personnel, 13 personnel stuff more? I don't know. Tight ends are
tight end. Do you trust in the slot the most outside of Fairweather? Because Fairweather is a glorified wide receiver. Which other tight end do you trust to go be a true receiving threat on the outside?
I don't know about the outside, but at least not attached to the line of scrimmage. It might be Brandon Frazier.
Okay.
He did pretty well when he was targeted last year. Made a couple of plays. I mean, I think they threw it to him down the seam one time in a big game or a big moment in a game, and he made the play. I think he might be that guy. Luke Deal's obviously your inline tight end, your blocker, your lead blocker, your all of this, your dirty work guy. So I think it might be Frazier. Rico Walker, I don't know what he can do yet. He's interesting.
Yeah.
Micah Riley's shown some things I just don't know yet. That's a really tough deal. You know, I don't know what they're going to do with all those tight ends. It's a lot of tight ends if you're wanting to get back into doubles and trips. You're going to have to put them out in the slot if you're going to use them. I don't know. And then his last question was about sacks, right?
Yeah. Are we gonna have more sacks this year? I think he said 31 last year.
Somewhere between 30 and 35, I believe it was.
I'm looking it up real quick, so you can go ahead and go. I'll look it up real quick.
They've got the pieces to have more. I mean, you got to think Jalen McLeod, he was out for a little bit. He missed a game, and he was injured in some other games. When he was not injured, he got like 4.5 sacks in the span of 3 weeks. Yeah. So if he's healthy,
31 sacks. Marcus Harris led the team with 7. Yeah. McLeod had 5.5. Eugene Asante had 5, and everyone else had 2.5 or less.
Wow, I didn't know Asante had that many.
It was some. I think it was I think he got those pretty early. Yeah, he had 2 sacks in the first 2 games of the season. So he started out fast.
You'd have to think that Keldrick Falk has more than 1 this year, right?
I would hope. If he doesn't, we're gonna have to have a serious conversation about the edge room.
Right. Keyron Crawford. I think he had 5.5 at Arkansas State.
Yeah.
He's going to have a few, I would think. Jalen McLeod's numbers should go up if he's healthy. I don't see a way they don't, because that guy's really, really good. Very good edge rusher. We think Keldrick Falk's numbers go up if Asante just does the same thing he did a year ago. And then you're adding Bleedy and Rakes and guys that have had sacks elsewhere. Yeah, it's going up.
The thing that worries me about McLeod, looking at it, he had 5.5 last year. 3 came in the same game. So you need that production from McLeod over the entire season. You just can't have him flash against Arkansas and get 3-4 sacks and then him not produce at a high level for the rest of the season. Like you got to get it over all 13, 14 games, whatever you may end up playing.
It's interesting. I mean, I definitely think Auburn goes above 31.
Yeah.
I could
Think
see
at 35 to 40.
I'm thinking closer to 40. Yeah. I think that makes there's too many guys that could really impact. As far as defensive line, and we've talked about this and how many concerns there are there. Pass rush has looked okay throughout this whole process. You look at pass rush and go, okay, there's some potential there, and some proven ability there. It just on the interior that was the problem. I think pass rush is going to be better. And DJ Durkin, don't forget, he probably brings a couple sacks too with what he does. He
might have a DB or two come in and get a sack just with a creative blitz, a safety, or even that star position.
Yeah. Star is basically what I call, it's a very rare person. It's a person that can play 3 levels of defense. They can play on the back end if they have to. They can step up in the box to be a linebacker, or they can get on the edge. That's rare. I mean, I think DeMarcus Riddick has a skill set like that. I think Caleb Harris has a skill set like that. Khalil Jacobs, who's the South Alabama transfer, absolutely. So you go for these kind of guys. Eric Winters, yes, 100%. They're just not out there. There's not a lot of them out there.
5013. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yes. Good evening, guys. Don from Homewood, Alabama.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
Hey, guys, I want to do a little comparison. Edward had a great call always, and he was saying about the surrounding cast with Peyton Thorne and everything. I'm going to give you all a comparison. After the 2003 year, a lot of people did not think Jason Campbell was a good quarterback, and the receiving room they had, I don't know if you guys might be too young to remember this. We had Courtney Taylor, Obanu, Romashadu, and Anthony Mix, and I think that the way that Hugh Freeze is talking, Al Borges, Tuberville brought in Al Borges, and really turned that into a different offense. And I'm hoping that happens with Hugh Freeze and Mix and Nix. What do you guys think?
That's a pretty good comparison. I would say the only thing is, I think our running back room is super talented, but are we going to get production like Cadillac and Ronnie Brown gave that team? Because I mean, what they did on the ground unlocked so much off the play action and what Jason Campbell could do pushing the football down the field. But I do agree that that's a good comparison because I don't think he had those targets the 2 years before that.
No, he did not, because in 2003, Tuberville almost got fired.
Yeah.
Not if I remember correctly.
You're a bit of with Bobby Petrino.
You're a bit of an Auburn football historian, right?
Yes, sir. Like I told you the first time I called, I'm 63 and been keeping up with Auburn for a long time. And actually, I'm Cole, you might know these guys. I'm a caller on the WJLX in Birmingham with Landon and Pat Smith and them. And I'm about the only Auburn person that calls in, and they give in. The guys in the morning, Damien and Conrad, give me hell about Peyton Thorne. Everything. And I'm about the only Auburn person that will call in to defend the guy, because I know how you chart plays, Cole. Go back and look. He was 5 for 16 in the Auburn Alabama game. But how many? He probably had 5 drops. And the biggest drop was the Johnson dropping the ball in the back of the end zone. That would put us up by 8 points. Probably would have won the game.
Yeah. Several times.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. I love your show. I listen to it every Sunday night, and hoping to be a regular caller every Sunday night.
Please do. Please do. You absolutely bring some good things. Hey, Don, give us an actor, man, that you really, really like. If an actor's going to be in a movie, you're definitely in.
I'm going to go old school on you again. Robert De Niro.
Okay. My personal favorite.
And Goodfellas.
My personal favorite of his is Meet the Parents.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank y'all very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's a good comparison, Zach. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it's being overly optimistic to think that way, because it's just all the things that have been put in place now compared to last year. And look, when we talk about Peyton Thorne and how it wasn't fair for him, I don't think I've said this enough, and I want to start saying it more. The receiver room's better now, no doubt.
Yeah.
But the way the offense was formulated, the timing of things, the discombobulation between Montgomery's system and Freeze's system, I don't think it was really fair for anybody.
No.
It's not just Thorne. It really wasn't fair for the receivers sometimes. I think there was an obvious disconnect between Thorne and the receivers, and it wasn't always the receiver's fault, and it wasn't always Thorne's fault. It was a mixed bag of things of who to blame, I guess you would say. Ultimately, I guess it falls on the play caller, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I'm looking here just at his like advanced analytics. His adjusted completion percentage, which accounts for drops and on-target passes that weren't caught, is over 70% last year.
I think it was I was talking with Mike G of the War Report, and he made a good point to me. He was looking at the completion percentage for Thorne last season, which was 62, something of that nature, 63. Yeah. But he had 140 less pass attempts, and his percentage stayed the same. Yeah, they're not huge plays, but you're talking about compared to what Auburn's had at quarterback completion percentage wise, even when Bo Nix was there, his percentage was pretty low.
Yeah.
At least they were connecting on things at times, and think about it. They were connecting on things that were maybe a little bit discombobulated.
Yeah. His drop rate was the highest of his career last year at almost 10%.
Easily.
I mean, 10, and I know people are like 10% isn't that much. That's a lot when it comes down to your drop pass percentage being almost 10 is crazy.
Yeah, it's it can't be that way. It really can't. And the fact that Auburn won 6 games and was able to be in the games they were in, just think if you get that 10% back. Give them 5. Don't give them 10, give them 5.
Especially in the Bama game and the Georgia game. Both one-score games at home.
Man, I'm telling you.
I think we got a real special caller on the line right here.
Oh.
0790, you're live.
How about you, fellas? This is Jeffrey Lee from 331 North, south of Montgomery.
How about you?
How about you, big dog?
What is up?
We just got out of the woods, man. Was calling to check in, see how y'all doing.
We're crashing and burning without you, man. It's just been a disaster.
I don't believe that for a second.
No, man.
Alan Head dipped out too, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, man. Just ghosted us. No, he let us know. He gave us a good heads up this morning. Oh, Alan.
Well, good. No, I was listening to you, man. Y'all doing a great job. I've been hunting and fishing all day, big dog.
I hear you. Did you bag one?
In the morning and the evening, fishing all day during the day. And so we pumped a John boat too on accident.
Hey, did you bag one?
No, we didn't. But we saw 2 jakes this morning. Passed on them, and then caught 15 and 20 fish lunchtime, and then went back and saw had a hen come and feed in front of us for a little bit this evening. So it was an awesome day. Took advantage of it.
Tell you what, Jeffrey, I thought there was a chance I might see you today. I went to Red's little schoolhouse for lunch.
Did you really?
I sure did. We went to church. We went to Red's little schoolhouse, went to Sykes and Con out there. If you've never been there, that place is awesome.
Yeah, we're about to drive past.
Yeah, I figured you were in that neck of the woods.
Where we went up, and you know what? Right down the road from Red's is a Raymer Cafe.
Yeah.
And we ate breakfast there this morning, and because we were going, if we couldn't get to Red's by noon when church let out,
right,
we were just gonna have to pass on it. So
yeah.
we went to Raymer, had a big breakfast, and then went fishing.
I've been there. It used to be called Bob's, I believe. Now it's called Raymer Cafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had a good breakfast. Good
Heck
breakfast.
yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, hey, man, I don't want to keep y'all. I just want to call, check in, make sure nobody forgets about me when y'all take over.
Jeffrey, you got to ask. You got to answer our POW.
Oh, good.
I went with the actor thing we talked about. So who's the actor, actress that you like? If they're about to be in a movie, Jeffrey goes, I'm in.
Robert Duvall comes to mind.
Oh.
Tommy Lee Jones.
I like it. I like it.
I mean, they're going to do that. They're going to make a good movie
every time. Yeah,
can't go wrong with them. Clint Eastwood's another one.
Yep. Many people in the comments said Clint Eastwood.
Morgan Freeman's a good one.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was Zach's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was a bunch of comments. Morgan Freeman's been a popular one. Clint Eastwood's been one. Tom Hardy's been put in the chat a few times.
Yeah. Hey,
well, I was thinking of some of my favorite movies, and you think about obviously Lonesome Dove, and then you've got Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And then I think Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman were in a Western together. Was it The Unforgiven? Maybe.
I don't know.
Sounds right. The Unforgiven is a good movie, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, anytime I see any of those cats, I'm in.
Tell you what, Val Kilmer, pretty good. He's pretty good.
Val Kilmer's good. Very good. Absolutely.
I'm thinking Tombstone.
And as far as females go, I love Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
Scarlett Johansson.
I bet you do.
Although I watched that. Who else? Y'all have any women?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock, yeah. I lost in The Blind Side. I thought she was terrible.
I don't like The Blind
Side. She won
an
Oscar for that.
That's my least favorite sports movie, no doubt. Hands down.
Yeah, I thought she was terrible in that movie. I thought she was terrible in that movie.
I don't know. Female.
Okay. Y'all don't have any other women?
Not off the top of my head. Zach, you got any?
Mm-mm. Not one where I go see like every movie they're in.
Oh man,
Emma Thompson.
I'm not a big fan of the chick who plays in Devil Wears Prada. That the older lady there.
Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep.
Who? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of hers. I'm not a big fan of hers. Oh, I tell you what, I do like what's the girl who played the Batman movie, real hot chick, and she played in Wolf of Wall Street?
Margot Robbie.
What's her name?
Hey. That's who I first thought of. But then you would have to like throw in the Barbie movie, all that kind of stuff. I had to go see that.
Oh no, you're right, Zach. Nope, take her off. Yeah,
I got one. Usually the movies she's in are really, really good.
You're right. I tell you who else, man. Matthew McConaughey would be in there with me. I like old Bradley Cooper. I like Kim Jong Young.
Oh, yeah. Ken Jeong.
That's what I said.
You talking about the dictator of North Korea?
The dude who played in A Hangover in Vegas.
Yeah, Ken Jeong.
Yeah, Kim Jong Young.
My other female, Jeffrey's probably going to be Reese Witherspoon.
I like old Reese now. I sure do.
I like Blake Lively. That was the one I was thinking of. Blake Lively is pretty good.
Yeah. That's nominee over here too. Although she's a solid 7.
I had a friend from high school, went to high school with me. He was a grade below me. He's an actor now, and he's in a bunch of movies. He's in a lot of Clint Eastwood movies. For whatever reason, Clint Eastwood's kind of clung to him. Yeah, his name is Seth Merriweather. He's kind of a small role in movies, but he's working his way up. He's younger than me, so he's doing a great job. But he tells me,
wow,
He told me that Amy Adams is the nicest person he's ever met, and Reese Witherspoon not so much.
I like Amy Adams too. Now you know about Clint Eastwood. He cast a lot of young actors and inexperienced actors in his movies. If you'll go watch like The Outlaw of Josie Wells, or High Plains Drifter, some of the acting in that is really, poor considering what type of movie it is. But it's because he hires these young amateur actors to get their career started. And so that makes sense. That if that kid's getting some spots in Clint Eastwood movies, that's how Clint likes to do it.
I'm also a producer guy. Like I'll Quentin Tarantino. If he anytime he drops a movie, I'm always tuned in.
M. Night Shyamalan. Love his movies.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I would watch any M. Night Shyamalan movie. Absolutely.
Bruce Willis.
I like
Mel Gibson.
I like what's the dude? Not Morgan Freeman, but he's in the what's that Tarantino movie? It was Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watch Samuel L. Jackson. As a matter of fact, I'd put him for Morgan Freeman. But yeah, I like Samuel
for sure.
And I like that girl that's in that Pulp Fiction. What's her name? Heather Graham, I believe.
Heather Graham. Talking about
wait, isn't it Uma Thurman?
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman. That's what I
like
said.
the Kill Bill.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm mentioning there's 20, 25 guys, women. That if I see it, I'm at least think there was some thought and some good screenwriting and acting involved.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, well, good. That's a good question, man.
Yeah, we can hit it again if you want, because that one, it's endless. Or maybe we'll talk about actors we don't like.
I'm gonna hang up and go, damn, I forgot about him, or I forgot about her.
Yeah,
the chat's going crazy right now.
Yeah, it is. Kevin Costner, Gene Hackman, Leslie Nielsen, John Travolta.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, I tell you what. Oh, Danny McBride, son. I watched anything he's in.
It wasn't he Eastbound and Down?
Eastbound and Down, yeah.
Yeah,
that was.
He was the star.
Yeah, that show.
Yeah.
That show. We got to do TV shows next week. Like, what's your binge TV show?
Yeah, I got you on that.
Eastbound and Down is one of the most quality TV moving picture show I've ever seen. Actually, it's a TV series or whatever, but the writing on that was incredible.
He said picture show. Jeffrey, my number one earlier was probably Denzel, by the way.
Oh, for sure. Oh, there you go. Yeah, he would be in my top three.
I can't think of a bad movie I've ever seen with him. Not one. I've never seen a bad movie with Denzel.
No, me neither. Yeah, he's a good one. He's a really good one.
Oh yeah, no, I see what you're laughing at, Zach.
DiCaprio he's going to be in some good ones. De Niro's going to be in good ones.
Yeah.
I said Matt Damon. Matt Damon's always in good movies.
Matt Damon, yeah, absolutely. Yep, he's another one.
The Departed.
There's people that and they go, hey, that's going to be a good movie, or else they wouldn't have made it.
Exactly. Right. So yeah, good question. I like that one.
Sure. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Heck yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna run in here and give me something to eat, man. But who's that? Zach Galifianakis? He's funny. I like him.
I love Zach Galifianakis.
He's funny. Yeah.
That's a good one.
But all right, I'll see y'all Wednesday.
All right.
That's good.
Tuesday night recording.
The recruiting pod.
There you go. We'll be ready to go.
We will fire it up for sure.
Quick little scoop before I go. Caleb Edwards, four-star tight end from California, has scheduled an official visit to Auburn June the 10th through the 12th.
Caleb Edwards.
He visited back in March. He came all the way from California.
That's right. Jeffrey, you want to tell us what you know about Khalil Jacobs, the South Alabama linebacker transfer, by chance?
Khalil Jacobs, yes, I will. Everybody thinks he's going to Alabama. He entered the portal back in January, the winter window. Decided to stay. South Alabama's head coach Kenny Womack went to Alabama to be the defensive coordinator under Caleb DeBoer, and he has re-entered the portal last week. And everybody expects him to go to Bama, and I wouldn't argue with that. But I will say that Auburn is definitely in this a lot more than I think people are giving them credit for. He will be at Auburn on Tuesday for an official visit. He's going to go to Missouri and Alabama later this week and the weekend. And I actually said, hey, listen, man, everybody thinks you're going to Bama. And his quote was, "Don't believe the hype." So take that for what you will.
Ooh.
I mean, he's even publicly said, "I'm leaning Alabama because it would be such an easy transition for me." Yeah. But to me, he said, hey, it's not a done deal. Don't believe the hype that it's a done deal.
Yeah, he can be swayed, sounds like.
Yeah, right. So definitely somebody worth tracking.
Unless I'm missing somebody, if he's visiting Tuesday, if he leaves and commits elsewhere, he'll be the first one to do that this window, right? Am I missing somebody?
I think so. It closes Wednesday or Tuesday. Right? It closes Tuesday.
Does it close Tuesday? Yeah. You're right. It does. It does.
So that'll be I think that'll be a relief for everybody who follows recruiting, who covers recruiting, because it changes so quickly when people can enter. It's like we will know for sure by then who Auburn has to replace. Is anybody else leaving? Is a quarterback leaving? Is a running back leaving? We heard rumors. We've heard some things, but nothing of substance. And we will be able to put all that to bed by Tuesday, which is another 20 or 48 hours, and then we can probably focus on who they're going to bring in to fill the remaining spots if they fill it. Because I think Auburn's at 6 or 7 still available slots.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think what's his name coming back? Tyler Scott is one of those. But I think there's still 5 or 6 spots left.
I think it's at 6, honestly, with Tyler Scott.
With him back. So you got 6 spots to fill. Hell, even if you get Khalil Jacobs, you still got 5. And right now we have nobody else coming in to visit. But hey, I will say this now. Justin Hokanson has mentioned this in basketball recruiting. Auburn's basketball team weren't going to do much for their last spot or two until after the portal closed. Why? Well, you don't want to scare anybody on the roster off. You want to keep everybody you've got right now, and then look after the portal closes, then start trying to fill those holes. And don't get me wrong, behind the scenes, these coaches are working it. It's just not going to be public.
Yeah.
They're going to bring these cats in to visit after the portal closes, as to not scare off anybody else.
Right.
So that could be what we're seeing in football. Auburn doesn't want to scare off anybody else. They're going to just bring in Khalil Jacobs, let the portal window close, keep everybody that's they've got right now, and then start filling in the gaps after it's all closed and everybody's locked in for another year. So I'm going to be seeing. I think it's going to pick up again, or after Wednesday, after it closes. I think we'll start seeing some more visits set up, or the very least, Cole, we'll start hearing of what their plans are with those scholarships.
For sure. If it's anything like a year ago, they're going to fill them.
Right.
I don't know. They may not this year. They may go, that wasn't really worth it. But if it's a 1-year guy, why not?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it this year.
Completely
It could be totally different. It could be totally different.
So we'll be keeping. Personally, for me, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it closing, knowing who's in, knowing who's available. That kind of narrows our search as to whom Auburn is actually targeting, who they're trying to bring in for a visit. So, what's that? Today's Sunday, so 48 hours, man. We'll know what's the next step.
Right. Yep. Well, that's been a pretty good portal window for Auburn so far. We don't think it's over. So,
yeah, right. 4 for 4 on visits and signings. The Lambert-Smith was huge.
Isaiah Rakes didn't even visit the second time. I mean, he visited in January, but didn't come in that second time. That was just a lock. As soon as he hit the portal, man, it was a lock. Done.
Oh, you said it, Cole. I mean, it was a perfect fit, and I know you kind of even I believe you too. It's almost too perfect. You're like, is this that easy? Well, hindsight, it was. I'm sure he had reached out and said, "Listen, I'm going in the portal." I think everything was premeditated as far as when he was going to announce his signing. Like Philip Bleedy announces on Sunday, Rakes announces on Monday. Both of them signed, done deal. Two defensive tackles. Kieron Crawford was 2 days later.
Yep.
So I think obviously looking back at it, Rakes had called Auburn or had let them know, I'm going in. I'm coming to Auburn if you'll have me.
Yeah.
And I'll just be quiet. I don't need to visit.
And
you just tell me when you're ready for me to sign.
And for those who followed that recruitment the first time around, man, he was real close to going to Auburn. It was super close.
Yeah.
I mean, even Jeremy Garrett, when he was still at Auburn, I felt some confidence from him. He didn't think he was going to USC. Didn't think he fit at USC that great. And, he was right. He was absolutely right about that. From what I understand, Isaiah Rakes hit the portal the second time and signed with Auburn not too long after that. Like,
too big. They needed a defensive lineman, and they just – I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better portal window for Auburn across the defensive line. We need 2 tackles and an edge. Boom, boom, boom. We need an experienced wide receiver. Boom. Done deal. Need a linebacker? All right. We got one coming in. So, man, I thought they hit it out of the park this window so far. And then obviously it's not done, but curious to see where they go. Do they take a defensive back? Do they take 2 defensive backs? Do they take a linebacker if they can't get Khalil Jacobs? Will they look at another defensive lineman? Will they look for another wide receiver? Will they look for an interior offensive lineman? Will they need a quarterback? Will they need a running back? So still a lot to play out, man.
Yep, for sure.
Still a lot to play out.
Well, what a call. What a call.
Well, I'm glad I did, man. I called in at 7:29. I knew Zach closed the phone lines at 7:30. I was like, let me get in there real quick, big dog.
Yeah, and I think Zach, we got a couple more too. So, man, Jeffrey, we've had a lot of callers tonight, man.
Oh yeah, they heard I wasn't gonna be there. They said, "Hell, I can get a word in edgewise tonight."
They're like, "Oh yeah, this is my chance."
Yeah, right. Well, y'all don't keep them holding, man. Y'all get to them. I'll see y'all back Tuesday night.
All right, sounds good.
All right, appreciate y'all, fellas.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go here. 3562. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
JJ from Huntsville. I gotta go. I put my question in the comments. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Sure.
Got you, man.
For sure.
Okay, it's Jack Singley in the comments.
Perfect. We'll hit that real quick.
All right.
All right, thanks, man.
Jack Singley. I see it right there.
Yep.
Jack.
Got
it. All right. JJ from Huntsville, also known as Jack Singley. Been on the phone, but want to ask because I got to go. Is there a deadline we're shooting for with Juju? And if there is, and it doesn't happen, are there names besides Husan Longstreet we'll go after in the 2025 class? Yes. There's one other name that I'm tracking. We mentioned him a lot. You know who he is, probably KJ Lacey. Texas quarterback commit from Saraland, Alabama. I think obviously Juju is ahead of him right now on the quarterback board. Juju Lewis, for those that don't know, 5-star quarterback commit from Carrollton, USC quarterback commit from Carrollton, Georgia. Just for the intel part on Juju, what we've been hearing is that Auburn's going to have a shot with him. For flipping him from USC, we think Colorado's in it, Alabama. Georgia seems to be out. And at one time, that was the perceived place that Juju Lewis was going to flip because he's from Georgia. Georgia liked him, whatever. Well, now Georgia's got their quarterback commit for the 25 class. They've got Jaden Rashada from the portal. And even Juju Lewis says, they're not really in it anymore. So leaving nothing to imagination there, I think the schools are stick with USC. You got Colorado. Alabama's in there to some extent. Auburn. And boy, it is really lining up pretty good for Auburn here with Juju Lewis. A lot of signs pointing toward the Tigers, in my opinion. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, you look across Auburn recruiting history. I mean, if you land Juju Lewis at this particular time and how bad Auburn needs just that quarterback to lead Hugh Freeze into his future, man, I don't think there'd be I don't think you could point to a bigger recruiting win, especially recently.
Yeah.
At a position of that magnitude.
Yep. A lot of people are perceiving Colorado to be in bad shape. And I don't know if that's entirely true because the guys that are leaving Colorado don't seem to be going to huge schools unless I've missed something. Kermani McClain might go to Miami or something. Yeah. He was the 5-star in the first place.
Dylan Edwards went to Kansas State today.
Okay.
Which that's where he was committed until he flipped to Colorado. So that's not really a surprise. Let me see. I can pull it up real quick.
In other words, yeah, I get it. Guys are flocking out of there. They're bringing a lot of good players in again. I mean, look, you would say the same about Ole Miss, right? Because Ole Miss is all about the portal. I mean, making room for guys that they can get the ones they want, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of what they're doing. Point of this is, do they have a shot with Juju Lewis? Yes. Yeah, they do. I wouldn't count them out. I just don't think that would be smart.
I would say the thing with Colorado is I need to see them hit on their evals because here would be my argument. You hyped up all the players you brought in last year from the portal. Almost none of them but his son and Travis clicked.
Yeah.
And then you get rid of them and said they were garbage and trash and they weren't ready to compete, but you were the one that brought them in. And that was your staff doing the evals. So what gives you confidence that you nailed the evals the second time around?
Is it an ideal situation? Definitely not.
No.
But can they land big recruits?
Yes.
Yes.
The spotlight is firmly in Boulder, regardless if people like it or not. They got the hype and the momentum and everything. It's just, I know what he said in interviews. The thing that I do think helped Auburn with Juju Lewis is I don't believe him. I think he's leaving when his sons leave. And this is coming from someone who covered.
You've said that for a long time, Zach.
I covered him at Jackson State. Like, I have interviews on my platform with Travis and Shador. Like, I don't believe it. I think he's gone next year.
Well, that'd be interesting.
We got one last caller here.
What the plan is there.
Knock out the last one. 5202. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, fellas. Darren down here in Niceville.
Hey, Darren. How's it going, man?
Man, going good. Finer than a frog hair. Shoot. So,
I like it.
Guy, let me throw one at you I hadn't heard. Vin Diesel.
Oh,
like it.
I like Vin Diesel.
And then on female side, Kate Beckinsale.
Huh. She's pretty versatile. She's been in some different things for sure.
Absolutely.
Good pick.
Question of the week coming up sometime. What's your go-to snack? You going golfing, you going fishing, you going to tailgate. What's the thing that you need to have with you, right? That sounds like a good one to me, Cole.
Peanut M&Ms.
Lance crackers.
Okay.
Only them peanut butter crackers on the golf course.
Okay. Buying a sausage.
Oh no, potted meat.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
So Cole, look at this whole thing right now. We obviously no sense in harping on the past. We saw this draft. We know we've been in bad shape for quite a while. We see that Freeze and them are doing right. They're closing some deals. We're doing some things. Playing field's not just Alabama and whoever can spend the money now. Everybody's able to spend money. So playing field's equal. With that being said, do you feel the roller coaster for Auburn with Freeze could come to it? There could be multiple 10-win seasons or 9-win seasons and not be 10 win this year and 2 wins next year, and then we're back on the top and going to the damn championship, and the next year we're firing the coach. As an Auburn fan, just gets very frustrating, the roller coaster we've been on for forever, it seems like. And part two to that, because we know what 24 and 25, what that looks like. Do you have an idea of what that looks like, 26, 27? What are we doing? Are we adding more schools? What does the schedule look like after next year, since they just kind of went generic and just flipped the schedule? And I'll hang up listening. Enjoying the show. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, Darren. Good stuff. Good stuff. Zach, do you know anything about how conferences and this is definitely an Allen Head question, but you might have some knowledge on that, on what Auburn's schedule might look like.
I was removing someone from the chat. What was the specific question?
So he's wanting to know, what does Auburn's schedule look like in 26, 27? What the record might look like. Is it going to get harder? Is it going to be all these schools in the SEC? If they keep expanding.
He's talking about specifically 2026.
He's looking that far ahead because we've talked about 24, 25. Darren does not want Auburn to go through this cycle again where you fire your coach, where the way it lines up, Auburn just can't make it through a tough schedule down the road, all this. Is that going to happen with Freeze? Is that going to happen with the scheduling? Does it line up, I guess, well for Auburn with the Freeze era looking ahead?
I don't think you have to go all the way to 2026. That's just me personally. Let me put it like that. Because one, the SEC has not released the conference matchups, and adding Texas and Oklahoma, I don't know how the conference is going to rotate through games. Like, I don't know they haven't announced who the next opponents for everybody are that you're going to rotate through. Now, obviously, you still keep Bama and Georgia on the schedule, but you don't, I don't know who rotates onto the schedule. Like, obviously Oklahoma will probably roll off, but who rolls on after that? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't play LSU or Ole Miss. Do they roll back on the schedule by 2026? I'm not 100% sure, and the SEC hasn't announced that. But I think 2025 sets up perfectly for Hugh Freeze. Now, the only games we do have announced for 2026, Cole, right now, we get Baylor at home and Southern Miss at home. Those are our 2 out-of-conference games that have been confirmed already. But you look at 2025, you open up with a road game at Baylor. You get Ball State, South Alabama, Mercer at home on various days.
South Alabama.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. I'm excited for that. But you look at your road games at Vandy, at Arkansas, at Oklahoma for the first time, and at A&M. Now, we've had a lot of success at Kyle Field. We'll see what A&M looks like in year 2 under that new coaching staff. But those road games are a lot more manageable next year than having to go to Bama and Georgia, in my opinion. And then at home, you get Missouri, Kentucky, Georgia, and Bama at home on your conference schedule, and you feel confident that you could compete with all those teams inside Jordan-Hare. You just did it. So I think 2025, and I think Jeffrey's mentioned this, so is Allen. This year, if you can get to 9 wins, man, what a huge accomplishment for Freeze. What a way for Auburn to be trending in the right direction. But you're looking at 2025 as we get all these home games against our biggest teams. The 2 toughest road tests are A&M and Oklahoma. You feel good about competing in Kyle Field. You've done that. We'll see what Oklahoma is. New quarterback Jackson Arnold, year 2 in that Venable system. What are they going to look like? If you can win that game, you feel really good about competing for a playoff spot, where with SEC, 10-2 probably gets you in the playoffs. with a handful of ranked wins, depending on where your 2 losses come from, you feel really good about that. So I think Auburn has 2025 circled as the year that you really make a run at this thing.
Yeah.
And in terms of further SEC expansion, Lee, I have no idea. Like, no one can predict that, but it kind of comes down to the lawsuit that Florida State and Clemson have kind of filed against the ACC. If Florida State, Clemson, Miami, some of those schools can get out of that ACC deal, then it will trigger another round of conference realignment. Now, we're going to see the same thing that happened with A&M in Texas. Florida is going to fight tooth and nail to keep Florida State from joining the SEC, and same for South Carolina and Clemson. And really and truly, Auburn and Georgia are not going to be fans of Florida State joining the conference because they inhabit the same television region or market. That's not good. You don't want to divide that if you're one of these bigger brands in the Southeast. But at the end of the day, those schools probably aren't going to have enough votes to keep anyone from joining. But it just depends on how that lawsuit goes. And then if they lose it, I think they're locked into like 2030 something or something like that, or got to pay like an egregious amount of money to get out. So I would just wait. I would just say, in terms of conference realignment, keep a close eye on that ACC lawsuit with Florida State.
Interesting. Yeah, the money thing is always going to be in play.
Yeah.
So if it's going to mess with the money, then don't expect it to happen.
Well, you got to think with conferences. So this is what happened with some of the Group of 5 conferences. You want to expand. So conference expansion always aligns with new TV deals because you want to expand right before you negotiate a new television deal because you want to include those big markets. Look at the Big Ten. What did they go do? They added the LA market right before they landed that giant deal, which exponentially increased the amount of potential ad revenue that they could have pitched to Fox and Peacock and all these, and I guess CBS now, to get a bigger deal. That's why the split of the pie is so big for the Big Ten schools. As you look at all those television markets they have now, if you're the SEC and you just signed this brand new deal with ABC, ESPN, is it smart for the schools in the conference to add a bunch of mouths in this conference where the piece of the pie they get is smaller? Are you able to renegotiate? Did you put that in the contract where you're able to renegotiate if you add more teams in before the television deal is up? That's the question, because you don't want to add a bunch of teams in and then you pitch to all your conference schools, hey, you get X million, but now we're going to decrease it to whatever number you want to put it as.
Makes sense. But to Darren's question, I guess as far as, what is it going to take for Auburn to be consistent and not have to go through this whole cycle again? At least that's what it sounded like to me that he was asking, at least part of the question. I just go back to the same thing I wrote about, man. I believe in it. I've sat there in the Auburn, the Waltos Performance, whatever center lobby 4 days a week during recruiting weeks. And it's just got a chance to be really, really good. There's a lot of good players walking through the door consistently. They're going to get some of the big ones in this class like they did a year ago. There's several we have predictions in for, several we've talked about. Some they're not willing to lose. We don't think they will. So if that's the case and you keep building and stacking talent, then eventually it's going to be pretty good. Now, will fans have patience this year? Should they? It's a fair question. I think they should, because I don't personally subscribe to this whole microwave deal that I've talked about before. Microwave meaning you just get so hot and cold so fast. Hang back, look at what's going on. Try to look at the big picture every once in a while. That's what we try to provide at Auburn Live, is the big picture. This is what we see when we're inside the building. And, not that we're ever going to say anything bad about them, but we didn't have much to say about Harsin. There just wasn't as much to talk about. There wasn't as much going on. You don't have to look for positives with this staff. They put it right in front of you. Now, when it comes to in-game coaching, you still got to prove something there. You still got to prove something. You got better players now. You got some of the excuses that you're able to make in year one aren't there anymore. So what do? It's very interesting. It's very intriguing. They got better players now. We think the offense is going to be better. We think the defense should be better, or at least what it was, because it wasn't terrible in year one for Freeze. And I have a whole theory on that. I won't go into it right now, but as far as skill sets, talent, getting the rooms of each position group better, I think you're on track. Got to get it right on the field. That's the next step. But you can't do that until you get the Jimmys and Joes in there. And I think they're doing it right now. So, having said that, are we done with callers, Zach?
Good to go.
I think we pretty much hit on everything everybody's wanting to know in the comments too. Man, I was not expecting so many callers tonight with just you and me, Zach in the back. But we had a good show, dude. A lot of good callers. Yep. I didn't write them down like Jeffrey always does, so I can't rattle them off. I'm a rook. I got to figure that part out. So y'all forgive me on that. But a lot of good callers, man. Kevin kicked us off as always. We love that. Got to hear from Edward, Darren at the end there, Carter. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But, man, awesome show. Thanks for joining us tonight, even though we were down 2 men. It's going to happen every once in a while. You just got to, make it happen. Right, Zach?
Right. Yep. We'll be back later this week with the recruiting show.
Yes, we'll be back Wednesday. We should record Tuesday night. We'll put it out Wednesday. Recruiting show. Not a whole lot of news, but we'll have something to talk about by then, I'm sure. We'll get back into it, and the whole crew should be back together. So it'll be awesome, man, for Zach, for me. And as Jeffrey would usually say, stay out of the left lane. See ya.